All right, so if you're the kind of person who makes resolutions, sets those big annual goals for your life or your leadership,
Hmm.
then you're probably very familiar with one pretty brutal statistic.
Oh, I think I know the one you mean,
Yeah,
that by February, it's all over.
exactly. A shocking 92% of those resolutions have just completely fizzled out. It's a number that makes you wonder, why even bother?
It really does. It creates a lot of cynicism, and
Yeah.
you can understand why. But the core analysis we're diving into this week suggests that failure rate isn't, well, it's not proof the intentions were bad.
Right.
It means we've just fundamentally misdiagnosed the problem.
That's it.
Yeah.
And our mission today is to really dissect that diagnosis. We are pulling all of our insights from a really important source. This week, it's an article from Phoenix Performance Partners called The Architecture of Commitment and Support.
And their whole argument is that this isn't a failure of willpower, it's a failure of
A
structure.
failure of architecture.
Precisely. They offer this 5-step blueprint for transformation, and they suggest that if you build the right architecture, success becomes, and I'm quoting here, inevitable instead of unlikely.
Which is a huge promise. I mean, that's a powerful shift in thinking.
It is.
And before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's just set the stage with a quote they use right up front. It's from Goethe, and it really frames the entire discussion.
The third one.
He says, "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness." We're going to show you how to eliminate that hesitancy by designing a structure that holds you firm.
Exactly. The sources are really challenging us to move beyond just, wishful thinking. So we're going to walk through how to construct that framework step by step.
Okay, let's start with the foundational idea then. We have to unpack this difference between motivation and what they call true lasting commitment. We often use them interchangeably.
Yeah, but they're operating in completely different spheres. Motivation is described as an emotional impulse.
Yeah,
It comes and goes like weather.
comes and goes like weather. I like that.
Think about that rush you get after a really powerful conference or maybe a health scare. That impulse is real, it's exciting, but it is, by its very nature, temporary. It's a feeling.
And we try to build this marathon of change on the fuel of a sprint, and then we're surprised when we crash.
Precisely. Commitment, on the other hand, is a decision that creates a structure. It's black and white. It's not fuzzy and gray.
And the analogy they use is marriage, right?
Yes. And it's the perfect analogy.
Mhm.
The feeling of a relationship, the romance, the passion, that ebbs and flows dramatically. Some mornings you wake up deeply in love. Other mornings you're just deeply tired.
Or annoyed by something trivial.
But the commitment doesn't waver. And why is that? It's because you made a permanent public decision once, in front of witnesses, with explicit promises.
So you don't have to redecide every single morning if you're still in the relationship. The decision was already made, and the structure, the promises, the shared life, that carries you through the low motivation days.
That is the entire point. Commitment means you make that hard decision one time, and then you let the structure take over. So the question is, why do vague resolutions like, I'm going to work out more, fail so predictably?
Because they're still relying on that weather of motivation, I guess. They sound like goals, but they aren't actually commitments.
They're wishes. They're just wishes. They lack the architectural components. Specific time frames, clear boundaries, defined accountability, and ways to measure it. Without those, the structure isn't there to catch you.
Okay, so if we need architecture, let's start building. Step 1 in the blueprint is connect to purpose. How important is this, really? Can't I just commit to something I know I should do?
The source material is adamant on this. If your commitment just feels like an obligation, something you should do, it's basically doomed from the start. It needs to generate pull.
Pull, not push.
Right. If it only relies on push, that energy of forcing yourself, it's just going to drain your motivation so fast. You need something that resonates deep enough that your internal critic can't just shut it down.
That makes sense.
The commitment has to serve a higher purpose. Look at the two options they present. The vague wish is, I'll develop my team.
Okay, sounds good. An intellectual goal.
But the purpose-connected commitment is, I commit to building a coaching culture because I'm done watching talented people plateau. I want to create the conditions where they thrive because their success defines my legacy.
Wow. Yeah, you can feel the difference there. The first one's a task. The second is a personal mission.
And once you have that genuine pull, you can move to step 2, which is how you turn that abstract purpose into daily action. Make it specific with arbitrary rules.
I love this idea of arbitrary rules. Why is making it arbitrary, removing the choice, so effective?
Because choice requires energy. Every time you have to decide, should I do this now, you open the door to negotiation with yourself.
And we're terrible negotiators with ourselves.
We always lose. Arbitrary rules remove that negotiation. They're specific actions triggered by a specific event or time, which engraves the habit in your memory.
It's like ritualizing the performance.
Exactly. And it's not a new idea. They cite William James from back in the 19th century, who advised to never suffer an exception until the habit is firmly rooted. Follow arbitrary rules.
Let's make this practical. So if my goal is be more strategic, how does that become an arbitrary rule?
The rule has to be time-bound and mandatory. So instead of just hoping to be strategic, the rule is every Friday morning from 8 to 10 a.m., my calendar is blocked for strategic thinking. No meetings, no email.
So that time and place removes the option to put it off.
It does. Or let's take build coaching relationships. That's so amorphous. The rule becomes, at the start of every one-on-one meeting, I will ask at least 5 open-ended coaching questions before I'm allowed to offer any solutions.
That's powerful because it forces a behavior change.
And for a personal one, like be more present at home, the arbitrary rule could be, every evening when I walk through the door, my phone goes immediately into the kitchen drawer and stays there until after dinner.
The trigger is walking through the door.
The trigger is key. And the sources also say you should commit to practicing these rules for a finite time, say 30 days or 90 days. It makes it feel less daunting.
Okay, that makes sense. So that brings us to step 3, which I think is where a lot of high performers really hit a wall. Build your support system. Why is it our default to try and do this stuff alone?
Well, it comes back to that deep, limiting belief, doesn't it? The internal critic that tells us asking for help is a sign of weakness. We think real leaders just figure it out on their own.
Which is a complete lie.
It's a lie based on fear. And if you think about it, relying only on self-discipline for transformation is actually wildly inefficient, isn't it?
Totally. The Phoenix Partners piece really reframes this. The most transformational leaders are the ones who have the courage to ask for support.
Yes, the courage and the wisdom. They join CEO forums, they hire coaches. Asking for support isn't admitting failure, it's demonstrating that you are serious about performance.
So what does a good support system actually look like? The source details a few key components.
First, you absolutely need coaching relationships. And this isn't because you're broken, it's because you're serious. Your internal critic operates in blind spots you can't see alone.
Like a pro athlete, the best in the world have multiple coaches.
Exactly. Second is peer accountability. And peers are important because they get the unique pressures of your environment. A commitment made public to your peers just feels more real.
The social pressure is a powerful force.
Hugely. And the third component is what makes it stick. Explicit agreements.
So getting rid of all the wiggle room.
All of it. Accountability can't be vague. A bad agreement is, I'll try to follow up. A good one is, I commit to conducting quarterly development conversations, with the first round done by March 31st. Sarah will check in with me bi-weekly. It defines the what, when, and who.
And the final piece is just regular check-ins.
But they have to be formal and scheduled. A commitment without follow-up is just a suggestion. It has to be a mandatory appointment. And crucially, it has to be supportive accountability. The question isn't, why did you fail?
It's what got in the way. What support do you need?
Yes, that's partnership, not punishment. It turns the whole thing from a judgmental structure into a safety net.
That's a huge difference. Okay, so moving to the final pieces of this architecture, step 4 is create the measurement. How do we avoid just using vague feelings here like, my team morale will improve?
That's the trap. Measurement has to be observable, tangible. You have to define what success looks like as a behavioral change, not a feeling.
So how do we do that? Let's use that coaching culture goal again. What's the observable evidence?
Well, you'll know it's working when the system itself changes. The source suggests something like, I'll know I'm building a coaching culture when my direct reports start spontaneously asking me for coaching conversations.
Instead of you always initiating.
Right. And when I see them having real coaching conversations with their own teams, you can literally track the frequency of those conversations. That's data.
So the focus shifts from, did I try hard, to, did the environment actually change?
Precisely. And that leads right into the final step. Step 5. Schedule the checkpoints. If you have these measurable targets, you have to formally review them.
Because what gets scheduled gets done.
You have to put the evaluation times in your calendar now. Don't wait until you're already off track in February to decide to check in. The evaluation has to be an arbitrary rule itself.
So a weekly review of the daily habits, a monthly peer check-in, a big quarterly assessment.
Yes. Block it out.
Mhm.
Treat it like your most important meeting.
Yeah.
If you don't commit to the evaluation, you haven't really committed to the action.
Okay, so this brings it all together in a really practical way. The 2026 commitment framework that Phoenix Performance Partners lays out. This is the action item.
This is the template you need to fill out and share this week.
So component 1, define your primary commitment. And they stress just one major commitment. Don't try to boil the ocean.
Focus your energy. Then component 2 is why this matters, your purpose connection. Component 3, list your arbitrary rules, the specific actions and triggers.
Component 4 is detailing your support system. Who is your coach? Who are your peer partners? What's the explicit check-in structure?
Then component 5, how you'll measure progress, those observable outcomes. And finally, number 6, your check-in schedule. When is that first formal review on your calendar?
And the key, the absolute keystone, is making it public. Sharing that document turns a private hope into a public contract.
That public disclosure creates the external tension you need to hold that architecture firm when your internal motivation goes quiet.
So the big invitation here is to just fundamentally change how you approach transformation. Stop relying on the fragile weather of motivation and start building the structures that make it inevitable.
It goes right back to that Goethe quote, doesn't it? Eliminating the hesitancy. Until you have that structure defined, there's always the chance to draw back. This is about moving from just resolving to actually executing.
Stop resolving, start committing.
So here's a final thought to try this week. Take a moment and identify your one primary commitment for the coming year. Then don't focus on doing it. Focus on supporting it. And ask yourself 2 questions. First, what arbitrary rule will help me engrave this habit without daily negotiation? And second, and maybe this is the most important one, am I willing to demonstrate the wisdom and courage required to formally ask for the support I absolutely need to keep this commitment?
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.